Item P1, C15-2019-0046, 4320 James Casey Street. Lila Nelson for Benjamin Wu. The applicant is requesting a variance from the Land Development Code.
And just a clarification on this, the way this was posted, it said compatibility height variance, but it's actually a setback variance. So for the record, I wanted to clarify that one more time.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Lila Nelson, ATX Permanent Consulting. And I have with me tonight the civil engineer on this site plan that's being proposed, Jerry Morales. Where are you? There you are. To answer any questions.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure our time was going. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for your patience with us on this case. It started pretty much the third quarter of last year. We've made quite a bit of progress, and we're here to update you on that progress and address any of your questions and concerns tonight, or all of them, actually. So where we are is, just to recap, James Casey is the street to the east of the St. David's South Austin Medical Clinic, a very large hospital that continues to be developed into a larger one. All of the properties from Ben White to this property, 4320, have been redeveloped to commercial use, apparently primarily medical related, that's been triggered by the hospital. This site, 4320, is zoned commercial. Every property to the south to St. Elmo is also zoned commercial. The property next door to us, 4322, is a single-family use. Therefore, we are seeking that relief from the compatibility standards, not for height, but for parking only in the compatibility setback. You do have a letter in your packet from last year, no opposition from that neighbor. We have met with the Neighborhood Association, Ray Collins. We've met with him personally and stayed in contact with them. To my knowledge, they have not contested this unless you've received something I'm not aware of. We do have an agreement with them that they they plan to respond in writing to this, if you're still interested in that, after the first round of comments from the site plan review, which is in review. We have addressed the completeness check comments, and we have obtained land status determination exempt from platting. So we're well on our way. I want to address some of the concerns. I remember those from last year regarding, is this a speculative transaction? And it is not speculative. That property has been leased as medical office for a number of years. There has been a parking lot there. It was just illegal. So it's our role and our responsibility at this time to make it a legal use with a legal parking lot. There has never been a code violation that I've seen on the record of anybody complaining about that parking lot that's been there for several years. Our role is to work with you to get a variance and to make this site legal. That pretty much sums it up for me.
All right. Thank you. Is there any opposition?
I'm not opposition. I'm neutral.
Please identify yourself.
Yeah. I'm neutral on this. My name is Ray Collins. I chair the South Manchac Neighborhood Plan Contact Team. I'm here to represent the team's position and answer questions, particularly about my 3 emails in your backup. The contact team's position is that we want to be part of the decision-making process. Last August, Ms. Nelson presented to the Board of Adjustment. The commissioner's comments were that her request was speculative, quote unquote, and suggested she make contact with the neighborhood. Last fall, Ms. Nelson asked me for a letter of no objection, and I scheduled her for a November 7th team meeting. The contact team agrees with the Board of Adjustments Commissioner's comments that her request is premature, and I informed her that the team's policy is not to vote on a variance until DSD has reviewed the applicant's plans. This team policy is based on the concept of shared risk. If the team approved the variance without DSD's review, all the risk of any outcome falls on the neighborhood. Shared risk means that a site plan is reviewed by DSD, and thus the contact team then knows more about what the outcome might be. The developer proposes and DSD disposes. As a recent example, I cite a compatibility variance request from Storybuilt. After DSD review, the team could tell what they were voting on and supported the variance. The PC approved it, Planning Commission approved it, and DSD approved the site plan after a couple of more updates. On November 7th, Ms. Nelson brought Jerry Perales to the contact team meeting, and we agreed that, given team policy and DSD's earlier site plan exemption denial, that a site plan application was the way forward. Mr. Perales stated that he could file a site plan by Thanksgiving. A site plan was filed on January 13th, failed its completionist check, and expired. On February 11th, Ms. Nelson again asked me for a letter of no objection. I reminded her of the outcome of the November contact meeting, related my knowledge of events since that meeting, and informed her that her variance request would not appear on a South Manchac Neighborhood Plan contact team agenda until after DSD site review. As of earlier today, she has a site plan in intake. In summary, the contact team wants to find out what DSD has to say about a site plan and then make our decision for or against the variance, which is why I'm presenting myself as neutral.
Very good. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, you have a 2-minute rebuttal.
My rebuttal will be, this is a civil engineered project and will be done by the code. And I'm here to give you an update. If you want to postpone until after Mr. Collins and the team are able to review the first round of comments and continue to have no problems with this project, I'm fine with that. I just felt like for sure I needed to get in front of you guys on this project again.
Right. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, well, let's close the public hearing. Are there any questions of the applicant or the opposition?
I have
Or
a question.
The neutral opposition? Yes, Brooke.
On the site plan that you're showing on page 2, is that the site plan you're presenting to DSD?
On page 2 of your handout, which is page 8 of the site plan.
This page,
Sheet 8 of 13
sheet 8 of
is what it
13,
says.
but page 2 that you handed us.
I'll defer to the civil on that.
That is what,
I don't know what your packet. I'm sorry. I'm Jerry Perales. Perales Engineering. I haven't seen your packet.
Yeah, she's just referring
Here's
to
a copy
sheet
of it
8
right here.
in your.
you just handed out some copies.
Okay.
The second page of what you just handed out.
Yes.
Is
Sheet
that
8
the
would be
site plan that you
correct.
have? Okay. So on here, you're showing a setback. So it wouldn't be a 0 setback. Where you're showing the rain garden? What
They're
is that
I think
setback?
they're actually showing 2 spaces there.
They're showing 2 spaces.
Oh,
in
these are here. Yeah, there's no setback lines there. Those
Oh,
are
here.
parking
Okay,
spaces.
I guess
and
the rain
grading.
garden doesn't go all the way across, just on the corner. Where are the spaces here?
Yeah, Otto.
Where are you seeing spaces here? Oh, very low.
I had another question. Is there any room to tighten things up a little bit and add any vegetation or anything like that to minimize the impact on the south? Or is it as tight as it can be to accommodate all those spaces?
Well, that right there is. I mean, we're trying to surround the all of the paving with rain gardens, which will be vegetation, and all of the paving will try to direct all of its runoff to the paving to try to help keep it watered with the stormwater. I guess this part of it is up against here. Is this the rear driveway?
So your residential use is on the south and on the west,
Yeah, right.
correct? I'm wondering if there's any sort of screening that you can do along those two edges where there's no rain garden and it's just paving that might make it a little bit more.
We have a
Speed the
drive
rest a
aisle.
little bit.
Yeah,
So
I
our
can speak to that for
Yeah.
a second. There is a line of trees right there at that boundary line, and the single-family use driveway is right there too. So if you might consider that as some sort of a buffer.
Okay.
I believe that by compatibility standards, you would need to do a fence, a privacy
Yeah, you want
fence,
a
a
fence
6-foot
as
privacy
well.
fence. The thing for me about this, besides the fact that it's been around since August or so of last year, is the adjacent owner, who is the person that is triggering the issue here, is in support of the project, or at least is not opposed to the project. If they were here and opposed, I would have a different sense about it. But they're mitigating what was basically an illegal setup before, trying to reuse the existing structure. I think it's a matter of time before this lot and the adjacent lots are bought out, demoed, and become part of the hospital complex or whatever. But I think that given the site plan right now, it's something that I think is better than what is there. And again, the person who is most affected by this is not opposing it.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just looking at the handout we have. I'm specifically looking at sheet 7, which is the existing and proposed drainage area map. And I'm confused because I thought the existing structure was staying there, but then you have a note on this plan that says the existing pavement to be demolished, and that's pointing right in the center of the structure.
Well, that's just a typo. That'll get edited during the review.
Okay,
That'll be
so the
changed.
existing structure is staying
Is
there.
to stay, yeah.
Okay.
And really the paving, we'll try to reuse it the best that we can, just for economics. But yeah, that pointer is just in the wrong place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any, Melissa?
So this is where I am with this today, and I think I feel like that this is pushing the season for the rest of the block. There's a bunch of houses down James Casey, and yes, the hospital's there, and the hospital's been there, and the hospital's. I seem to recall that the track behind this is also single family. So without the neighborhood support, I can't support this variance. Just flat out. So y'all can do what you want to do. Michael's not here. It won't be me.
There's not single family behind it.
I thought it was.
It's an office. Oh, it's a residential use?
There's a residential
Is it an
behind
apartment?
it.
It must be an apartment.
And it has the driveway. It's kind of flags around it is what I kind of recall.
Well, I think to clarify that, the person who owns the lot to the south, that lot wraps around on the west side. So they actually have the lot area behind that too. It's basically an L-shaped lot.
Yeah, when I look down on Google and see all the little houses, I think we're just kind of sealing the fate for. And if the neighborhood contact team isn't in support, I don't think I can support it.
Okay.
May
All
I
right.
have
And-
permission to add to that?
Well, there was no question to you guys. If there is, Kelly, go ahead.
How many parking spaces are you required to have? 7?
I don't know if this is even the full set though, because I'm missing 10 in this set. Because I think the site plan sheet is missing from here. Here's the parking requirement though. It's on sheet 10. It's stapled in the wrong place is the problem. Sheet 10 is on the last, but it's sheet
They don't
13.
have
If you
Okay.
could just answer the question.
Sheet 10 is the total required is 8.
Okay, well, my concern is that the 2 parallel parking spaces on the south edge of the lot might not be safely accessible. Because if you picture trying to leave those parking spaces, you might, unless you're doing a multi-point turn in the parking lot somehow, you're backing out onto James Casey in order to get out. I don't know if DSD is going to approve this particular layout. And if this layout doesn't allow you to meet your parking requirements, you may have to request a different kind of variance.
We have to do parking maneuvering
Yes.
for the site plan approval, so that if that does end up being a comment, I can provide, turning movements for each
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
vehicles.
just giving you a heads up.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? And I will say, I don't see that, given the structure on the lot right now, short of, unless we're advocating demolition, that to retain that structure, that some sort of variance, this cannot be developed without some sort of variance. Jessica?
So I've driven an ambulance down this road more times than I can count. I'm actually very familiar with where they're talking about. Half those spaces are back out already. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm inclined to approve this simply because they seem to really be trying to do everything they can, due diligence, to get the approval of the neighborhood, get the approval of the DSD. I'm okay with saying yes to this.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Veronica?
Just one question to follow up with Daryl asked. So you said that was a typo where it says existing pavement to be demolished. That's just going to be removed. There's nothing to be demolished associated with the building, with the structure?
Correct.
It's only the other flag that says existing pavement to be demolished on the north.
Right, I'm noticing
East
sheet
corner.
10 is the best sheet, because that call out is probably just, I don't know why it's even there.
Okay, and we don't have
Sheet
sheet
10 doesn't
10.
have-
We have sheet 7, we have sheet 8, it was what was provided to us. Okay, so there's nothing
Yeah.
Nothing related to the structure is going to
Correct.
be demolished.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Is there a motion?
Just very quickly,
Yeah.
though,
Brooke.
what are you going to do if DSD denies your site plan?
I don't see anything to deny, but, and we would just address comments. I mean, really what I'm trying to do is, if they denied it, it would be based on the variance. So I wouldn't be able to get this situation if I didn't have a variance,
Right,
mainly
I'm-
because of the.
Yeah, I'm just wondering on some of the parking issues and how, because while they may already back out, that may not be something that DSD approves.
Correct. DSD will go through umpteen iterations of the
Right,
site plan before they approve
Which,
it.
which could change the variance, is what I'm saying.
I don't see how they're going to get, if they need 8 parking spaces on here, I don't see how they're going to get 8 parking
Okay,
spaces and not.
but then they'll need a variance for parking spaces.
Well, that's what we're giving them, essentially. Oh, you mean having less parking?
Yes.
And, yeah, and I would have more trouble supporting that than I would.
Right.
Because essentially what we're allowing here is what's existing to be better, a little bit better than what's
Right,
existing.
and I don't have a problem with approving it, I just think it's going to be a problem for them because they're not going to be able to come back to us for a year.
That's right, that's right.
Okay.
So that's on them.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine then.
Yeah. Okay, so,
I have I guess, a comment and then potentially a motion. I think that I am, along with Ms. Hawthorne, a little hesitant about this because we don't have the neighborhood plan contact team input. And as I understand, I know this thing's been sitting for a while, but I'm wondering if we will have that input by our April meeting if we were to postpone again. Do you know?
I don't think there'd be enough time.
Okay.
June.
By May?
yeah, if you can get a little closer to the mic, thank you.
I don't think there's enough time for the April. I would say very likely by May.
Okay. And what do you think?
I would say that he can't get his site plan through the first update in time for us to look at it.
June.
Okay.
June.
Okay, so, yeah, Martha.
Every single lot, except for the one adjacent to it that wraps into the L shape, which triggers the compatibility from the south and from the west. Every single site along James Casey is limited office, neighborhood, commercial. So there isn't any other SF3. I would support this because this is clearly the way that this neighborhood is developing, at least on this specific road. So even though there's single-family housing type of projects adjacent to it, I don't think that the parking would be a significant hindrance since it's already being used that way, and since everything else is going to be light commercial, neighborhood commercial. I just wanted to make everyone aware of that there isn't any other SF3 around.
Is that a
Thank you.
motion?
Not yet.
Okay.
Given
Do
that,
we have a motion?
Given that, I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve this variance that the compatibility setback on the west side of the lot, as shown on P1/28, be waived. And no compatibility setback on the south side of the lot be waived because it does not appear that they need that.
They
They need it on both. Okay,
But
that's
it's the
fine.
same.
That's
Same
fine.
lot.
That's fine. South and west, as long as the parking is in accordance with what we have been handed. I'm sorry, no, it's in the backup. As long as the parking is in accordance with P1/29, which shows the 7 parking spaces on the
That's not
south
a-
side.
that's not
Can we just
legal.
tie it to this site plan?
Yeah.
To the site plan would be
Yeah.
fine, yes. That'd be
Sheet
fine.
8.
To an approved site plan.
Well, they don't have an approved
Yeah,
one, but
I
what the
understand.
handout, we can tie it to sheet 8 of 13.
Of 13.
Sheet 8, that would be fine. So I would move to approve it in, as long as it is, in accordance with a site plan as reflected on this sheet 8 of 13 of the proposed drainage area map that we have been handed tonight.
I'll second.
Oh.
Who got it first?
Okay, so we have a second by Otto. All right, so the motion is to approve the setback variance, which is based on the proposed site plan that we have here, 8 of 13. And we have a second by Ada Corral. Let's go ahead and vote.
Chair, we need to do the findings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. Do you have findings, Daryl?
I don't.
My
Where are
mistake.
they?
They should be in the packet.
In the packet. I do. Zoning regulations applicable to the property do not allow for reasonable use because without the variance, there's no possibility of using the bulk of the existing building that's constructed for its reasonable possible use as a medical office. There's room for no more than approximately 2 parking spaces, allowing only between 400 and 600 square feet of use in the 2,293 square foot building. Hardship is that the hardship is unique in that the property is surrounded with commercial use with the exception of SF3 adjacent to the south. SF3 adjacent lot is included in the special district for future commercial use. The owner of the SF3 adjacent lot stated there in support of the variance. Hardship is not general to the area in which the property is located, and that surrounding properties have been redeveloped or in the process of being redeveloped, largely driven by St. David's South Austin Medical Center. And the variance will not alter the character of the area adjacent to the property, will not impair the use of adjacent conforming property, and will not impair the purpose of the regulations of the zoning district in which the property is located because only parking and 1 driveway, no building, are proposed for the compatibility setback, and that there's been a parking area there in the past with no apparent impairment to any of the adjacent properties, and that a properly constructed legal parking on this site is consistent with the current zoning district.
All right. So we have motion, second, and findings.
Brooke Bailey,
Yes.
Jessica Cohen,
Yes.
Ada Corral,
Yes.
Melissa Hawthorne,
No.
William Hodge,
Yes.
Darlene Burwell,
Yes.
Darrell Pruitt,
Yes.
Veronica Rivera,
Yes.
Kelly Bloom,
Yes.
Martha Gonzalez.
Yes.
All right. You got your variance.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Chair, should we bring back I-2 now that we have a full board?
We do not, still. We're
We
still
still don't?
waiting for Yasmin.
Oh, Yasmin, that's right,
Yep,
sorry.
Yep. So, but as soon as she gets here, we'll put that next in line.